Hi everyone, Tito with BDS Business Data Services here. Password management has been a huge pain point for many people, including my clients. And recently, I just saw news that passwordless management options, passwordless sign-in options, were getting support from big browser developers like Apple, Microsoft, and Google. So this is huge. This is huge. So stay tuned. Let's dive into it some more. So to start, I want to start with the current state of passwords. Now, before we get into what those changes look at, let's review the current state of passwords. Everyone knows by now that there is no shortage of websites, portals, and apps asking you to create an account to do business with them. There are several reasons they do this. The first is to allow access to member only content. So you can think of things like Netflix or, online shopping like Amazon. You need an account to have a transaction or get those member only content there. The second thing that you can see companies using a website or requiring an account is to have payments and order tracking. And the third thing, you can also track user details for marketing purposes when you have those accounts. Many companies don't disclose this, but it's something that's a little bit controversial, especially these days. There's many other reasons why an account is created on a website, but those are a few of the ways. So outside of user tracking, these reasons don't really pose much of concern to most people. The problem lies with the sheer amount of passwords that you need. So there's so many places where you need passwords and usernames. That is what's causing the issue. And when you add the growing number of data breaches on top of that, and companies trying to be more secure, it's really the end user, the person creating the account, that ends up with the brunt of the force here. So good password hygiene and cybersecurity practices say to have a different password for each account, and also have two-factor authentication, also known as 2FA or MFA, activated wherever possible. But even in 2022, I see people repeating passwords or using variations of passwords. So let's say they have their, main password be password 123. Well, maybe the next password that they create with Google or Amazon or Netflix will be password 1234. So it's a variation from the main password that they use. That's what the variations is. But really, in the end, this is a huge problem. So if you repeat passwords in a place like Facebook gets hacked, then they've hacked everything that you've repeated that password over. And Facebook has got hacked in the past, so that it's very bad to repeat passwords. You want to make sure all accounts are different. Now, companies have come up with several solutions to this problem, and by now you're probably thinking, Tito, what the heck? Why should I have different passwords for everything? That's such a pain in the butt, and there's no way I can do that. Well, there's several solutions here. The first being browser password storage. Many browsers like Chrome, Firefox, Edge, they have the ability to store passwords, and you've probably seen them asking, "Would you like me to save this password for you?" a lot. Um, while this sounds good at first, it's actually ridiculously easy to steal those passwords if hackers gain access to them here. Um, so this is not a long-term solution, and whether you are on the consumer end doing something for personal, or you're in business and you're you're creating products or services for people to buy, I recommend you stay away from browser password storage and move away from it as soon as possible. The second option that companies have come up with is single sign-on. So this, you can see this as a consumer, and also on the business technologies. They have their own different ways of implementing single sign-on, but pretty much what single sign-on is, if you have a mobile phone and you download an app, when you download it for the first time, it will ask you to create an account or sign in. But sometimes you'll see sign in with Google account, or sign in with Apple ID, or sign in with your Facebook account. That Google, Apple, Facebook account, those are single sign-ins. So you just have to log in with your Facebook account, and then it logs in for you with single sign-on. So while this is convenient, it's actually a step up from browser password management. Stay away from that as much as possible. There's still ways hackers can abuse it and get around the system to gain access to all of your accounts. Now, once again, if a hacker gains access to the computer, they can use the cache single sign-on token to sign into other applications, softwares, or portals. So this takes a little bit more sophisticated hacker, but it's still not difficult to do. The third way, and the way that I recommend in the current state of technology, is password management software. So this is a web-based or downloaded software that stores your passwords, and it's encrypted at rest, encrypted in transit. So there are many options out there, but the main idea is having a master password that you use that is stronger than all other passwords. Something up to 30 characters would be great. And that is used to gain access to all the other passwords. And a good password management software will, of course, allow you to activate or require two-factor authentication of some kind. It could be a text, an app, or a phone call, something like that. While no password management software is perfect, I find this is the best solution out there out of the three options. And if you're my client, we have one included for you with your package. So reach out to me or the team and we'll get that set up for you. So moving on, now let's get into why you're watching this video. An organization called FIDO Alliance, FIDO. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, if it's FIDO or FIDO. But the FIDO Alliance, it's an industry group aimed at standardizing authentication methods online. They announced that big browser builders, Apple, Microsoft, Google, supported their idea of passwordless sign-on. That means that you never have to use or create another password ever again. This could be huge. In terms of security, this could be very good. So now think of it this way. If you have a smartphone, you already use a pattern, PIN, or fingerprint, or even face scan to unlock your phone. Imagine if that same concept is used for all of those websites, portals, and apps that you have to sign in on. Your bank probably has fingerprint sign in already. They're just taking that concept for everything on the internet. So FIDO's passkey system plans to use your mobile phone for authentication via Bluetooth. So that means all you have to do to sign in now is have your phone and connect that to your laptop or desktop via Bluetooth. And every time you sign in onto a website, say that's Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, you just put your finger on your phone and it signs in. So in terms of simplicity, it's very good for the end user, so consumers, but the details haven't fleshed out yet. but it sounds promising. So while it sounds promising, let's get into the possible cons for this. So, if websites and software are requiring mobile devices to authenticate logins via Bluetooth, there are a couple things that businesses should keep in mind. So, number one, mobile devices will be needed for each employee that uses a login. This can be pretty bad since not every business has business issued smartphones for each employee. This might be fleshed out in the future where there are devices, little devices, fingerprint devices that are cost effective for the businesses to get for each employee, and not a smartphone for each employee. But that will depend on how the technology fleshes out. The second thing that businesses should look out for is having Bluetooth on each device that needs to log in. So this is laptops, desktops, and possibly even servers. If this technology spreads so far as it's used for logins for servers, then the server also needs to have that Bluetooth capability and also have a mobile device or something that connects to it. I honestly don't see this new technology, the passwordless sign on, taking mass adoption soon. The technology is still being fleshed out, but it it is very promising. Even to this day, I don't see single sign on being used by every single software, application, or website. So until every website or software you use adopts the passwordless sign-on, we actually recommend that you use a password manager. Definitely not your browser password manager. That's the worst place to store your passwords. My other concern with the passwordless sign-on that FIDO Alliance is suggesting is if the technology is similar to single sign-on, that could pose an issue. Um, the single sign-on method is easier than the password management, but it's also more vulnerable. So if passwordless sign-on is uses similar technology as single sign-on, then it would just be as vulnerable as single sign-on. If that's the case, password management software will continue to be the tried and tested method to go with. As I see more news on this, I'll be sure to update the channel so that you can have information on this. If you'd like to learn more about cybersecurity, download our report, The Top 10 Ways to Hackers Get Around Your Firewall and Antivirus to Rob You Blind. We'll have the link in the description below. Have a good one, everyone, and stay tuned for next time.